As I said, we'll be talking to Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson now, former Paralympian crossbencher in the House of Lords. Tanni, good morning to you. Thanks very much for talking to us. I'm going to pick up, actually, on the point that Rebecca said about this slippery slope. It doesn't exist. You heard Rebecca's argument. You obviously know her family's situation. How do you counter that? I mean, and that's the whole point of the debate, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, in every jurisdiction that assisted suicide has been brought in, there have been changes, whether that's through legislation or through practice. And, you know, she's absolutely right. You know, palliative care is a postcode lottery, but Australia is one example. They've, you know, massively cut the funding into palliative care because this is a cheaper and quicker option. And Canada, which a lot of proponents of the bill are now stepping back from because the expansion has been so rapid. I've actually written a report about how much money it saves Canada in terms of having assisted suicide as an option. And I think, you know, when we talk about vulnerability, you know, choice is a really difficult thing. I spend a lot of time arguing for choice for disabled people. But if they feel that all their choice is being taken away because they haven't got access to housing, education, employment, transport, then they feel that they have no choice to, you know, but to go down this route. And, you know, there's examples in Canada where, you know, if you're anorexic, you would technically have 6 months to live at a certain point in your treatment, and it's been given for that. You know, again, in Canada, if you're homeless, if you're poor is a reason to request it. So there's a lot of worry out there about how this law could expand if it comes in, because there's already campaign groups saying it doesn't go far enough. We need to have euthanasia. You know, we need to have, you know, no restrictions whatsoever. We need to remove the 6-month general diagnosis. That's before we've even got to this stage.
Tanni, good morning to you. It's Charlie here. Could you, I mean, in principle, do you welcome the fact that this will be debated and there will be a vote? And as we understand it, a completely free vote. So one that MPs can vote on what they believe. Do you welcome that in principle? Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that immediately could potentially lead us to the dangerous places you've described?
No, we absolutely can't shut down the debate on this. And, you know, I think it's really important because the surveys that show that a lot of people support assisted suicide, actually, when you ask further questions, people think that the question is about palliative care. And when you start asking, OK, when, where, which drugs, who's going to do it, what happens, there's cases from all around the world where the drugs haven't worked. So what point did doctor or whoever step in and then administer euthanasia? So there are all these things that we do absolutely have to discuss. I think the challenge is in a private member's bill, which doesn't traditionally get a lot of time, it's a massive thing to be debating. It changes everybody's relationship with society. It's probably not the best vehicle to do it. But the Prime Minister, you know, has, you know, given commitment to Dame Esther. He's personally in favour. So it's hard to, you know, not see that the government would give time to this. And I do hope it's a genuine free vote, that, you know, people are able to vote with a conscience and there's no consequences from any party from this taking place. But, you know, it's also, you know, apparently, you know, any member of parliament who took up this bill has been offered, you know, extra researchers, lot of support, you know. So it is treating a private member's bill situation very differently from how it normally is. I've got a private member's bill on the abuse and neglect of children, and we get very little support to try and get that through.
Tanni, so I think you referenced this a moment ago. The pressure this potentially, were it to become legalised, puts on medics, doctors, who would have a signing off, a position of signing off. So someone, and I think essentially we're talking here about potentially vulnerable people. So that's the fear, isn't it? That somebody vulnerable would present themselves to a doctor, and the detail on this is not clear, but potentially could present themselves to a doctor, and the doctor is the person who makes a determination as to whether or not it should be legal for that person to die. What are your concerns around that moment of that sort of dialogue between patient and doctor?
So all we know at the moment is it would be 2 doctors, but the Mental Capacity Act in the UK hasn't been fully enforced. Doctors and police are not very good at spotting or understanding coercive behaviour. And someone could very easily present and say, you know, this is my choice. And, you know, there's been posts overnight saying changing the law is about love, but, you know, about loving your relatives. But again, you know, coercive control, that's all about if you love me, you would do this. So, you know, will there be time given and money spent on actually understanding whether it's someone's free and settled wish? That's before you even get into what's a terminal diagnosis and everything else. So the groups who want to change the law, the 3 sound bites are really easy. You know, 2 doctors, settled wish, 6 months diagnosis. I don't have easy sound bites to counteract it. It's a lot of detail from looking at different jurisdictions around the world, how different people are treated, and how it absolutely does change over time.
Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.